Imagine a tool that can redefine communication, safety, and independence for your loved one. Curious what it is? Well, you might have guessed it. It's a smartphone. Now, I want to go into some details here with you on how a smartphone can be helpful for your loved one. But if you're like me or like I was, you might be thinking, well, my loved one who has a disability, they don't need a smartphone. Like, what would they need a smartphone for, right? That's how I used to think about a smartphone for my sister. But as I thought about it more, I had to shift my mindset, because what I want you to think about is, what is the impact of a smartphone to you? How do people use smartphones in the world, right? And there's really key ways on how we are, or you are using a smartphone that are really important for your loved one, right? A few of them are communication and safety, organizing our lives, and thinking about independence for your loved one. So we're going to dive into each of those topics. Okay, so first let's talk about communication and safety. So if we think about how do we communicate in the world, I think in the past it was, if we wanted to get a hold of somebody, we probably called them. But today we're texting. So just a regular landline doesn't really cut it anymore in terms of keeping in touch with people, right? So we're texting people, we might be messaging them on social media, and the main way that those technologies work is through a smartphone. So it's important that our loved one learns to use that tool to not only be able to communicate with you, but with other family members, and with other people in their circle, in their network, because that's how we build and maintain relationships. That's just how the world communicates. And if our loved one doesn't have that tool and doesn't build that skill of communicating with a smartphone, then our loved one's excluded from those relationships. So we need to be really mindful of that. And that the light bulb might have gone on for you. I hope it did, just around thinking about that and the importance of it. The next piece is safety. So for me personally, I don't leave the house without my smartphone. And one of the reasons is like, if I jump in the car and I'm driving somewhere, like if something happens, I want to be able to call someone for help. Our loved one needs to be able to call for help, right? And our loved one, your loved one, might have additional vulnerabilities that you're concerned about. So if our loved one has the knowledge and the skill to be able to text for help, to call for help, to hit an emergency button on their cell phone, to access maybe emergency services or safety, it's a really key tool that can provide security for our loved one, but also peace of mind for you, right? Like, how much more peace of mind are you going to have if your loved one knows how to use that cell phone to communicate, and message you, I need help, or call you and say, I need help, and for you to be there to coach them, or you to go to wherever they are, right? Super, super important, especially as we're thinking about independence, right? Because one day our loved one, your loved one, is going to need to be able to call other people for safety, or for help that might not be you. So even if you're thinking, well, my loved one doesn't need that right now, at some point in their life, they are going to need that skill. And the best time to be teaching skills is now, right? Really, no matter how old your loved one is. The next piece that we want to think about is, using that cell phone as a tool to organize your loved one's life. Our smartphones can have features like, reminders, schedules, and tools like helpful apps that can be assistive to your loved one in helping them organize or manage their life, right? And all of this leads to increased independence, right? Promoting independence for your loved one. When I think about it for my family and my sister now living having moved out of mom and dad's place and lives in her own apartment. If she didn't have a smartphone and know how to use that effectively, she wouldn't feel safe living on her own. My parents definitely would not feel safe with my sister living on her own. And my sister has built that skill of being able to call for help, text for help, ask questions. And she's got several people that she can go to and do that, right? Remember, a smartphone's just not a device. And I know that there's some downsides to smartphones. They can be addictive, especially with things like social media. There can be safety concerns around them as well. So you want to think about how you can maybe protect against some of those things. But remember, it's got a huge, powerful potential benefit of supporting your loved one with communication, safety, organizing their life. So you need to figure out, think through just carefully how to balance those things, right? So that smartphone's just not a device. It's really that handheld portal to the world and can increase independence and possibility for your loved one. And if you want to learn more about supportive technology, I've got this amazing free guide for you. It's called the Top 10 Tech Tools to Transition Towards Independence. So for more valuable insights on supportive technology, go and get that guide. Click the link below if you haven't received it yet, and you'll receive that guide and some awesome, helpful tips to start taking steps forward towards independence with your loved one. I'm Eric Gall. I'm a family member and family coach. Together, let's take a step forward this week.